Insulin is a growth-promoting hormone. Insulin is produced by the body in response to a high glucose load that enters the bloodstream, right? It takes the glucose out of the blood by promoting fat storage. It's a fat-storing hormone, and it promotes angiogenesis. Do you know what angiogenesis means? Do you guys know? Right. The first book of the Bible? No, that's not it. Right. Angiogenesis means to promote the growth of new blood vessels. And we can't grow fat on our body, and we can't become overweight unless we have angiogenesis promotion going on to promote new blood vessels that can fuel the fat and bring oxygen and nourishment to fat cells so they can't grow. The more higher glycemic, the more obviously high glycemic carbohydrates you eat, the more insulin's produced, and that production, that angiogenesis promotion, promotes the growth of tumors and cancers and atherosclerotic plaque as it promotes fat storage in the body. And then the fat storage promotes more estrogen, which promotes the risk of breast cancer even further. So consider this. The glycemic load of a food isn't just how much carbohydrate is in that food or how much glucose enters the bloodstream from eating that food. Rather, it also represents how fast those calories enter the bloodstream. It has to do with time. It's how much glucose calories enter the blood in the first hour after eating that food. If you ate 250 calories of beans, their glycemic effects would be almost negligible because the calories enter the bloodstream so slowly over many hours, not over minutes. Did you follow that? I call it fast food versus slow food, because when foods enter the bloodstream fast, when the calories rush in just a few minutes' time, they set off dopamine stimulation in the brain, turning you into food addicts, increasing cravings and emotional drives where you can't stop thinking about that food and the high it made you feel. And you become little rats looking for donuts. High glycemic carbohydrates are addicting, just the same mechanism via which cocaine, opiates, and heroin are addicting. Use the same mechanism in the brain that these fastly absorbed foods are addicting, and they're linked to depression as well. And they're the, how should you say, gateway drug to drug addiction. Sugar is the gateway drug to drug addiction and leads to lack of intelligence, increased violence, inability to succeed in life, increased propensity for criminal behavior, use of drugs, and more likely to get you in prison, raised on junk food and fast food. Dangerous for society. So high glycemic load foods, like rice, white potato, and chocolate cake, which is white, right? It's white. It's just colored, artificial tan. I always say, you know what I say, the whiter the bread, sooner you're dead. You didn't know that one? Oh, but everybody knew that one. And the medium glycemic foods we would eat more moderately, like sweet potato, grapes, rolled oats. I don't recommend people eat much brown rice, by the way, because since that Consumer Reports came out with arsenic contamination of brown rice. I shouldn't even tell you this, because I seek out a place to get my rice, my wild rice, from a place that's truly wild, not made by commercial farmers, where these guys in the woods and the marshes take it down with canoes and a stick, so there's no commercial fertilizer, or they're not growing it on tobacco land where they used or chicken manure that they fed arsenic antibiotics to. In other words, you have to be careful of your source of rice if you're eating too much rice in your diet, because it's going to be contaminated. Because the brown rice, the fiber of the rice sucks up arsenic more than white rice does. Don't eat a high brown rice diet unless you absolutely are sure where you got that rice from. And then the low glycemic load foods, and you shouldn't eat a lot of those foods anyway, right? They're not low glycemic enough. The truly low glycemic carbohydrates are fruit and lentils and beans and peas and squashes and berries and nuts. They have the truly lowest glycemic load, not rice and potato anyway. But if we really want to look at carbohydrates and rate them on a hierarchical scale, better to, from worse to better, we have to consider a few things. Yes, we have to consider the micronutrient content and the phytochemical content, and beans have in them the most anti-cancer chemicals, like inositol pentachous phosphate. And you know that's powerfully protective against cancer because it's 26 letters long.